Hello, and welcome to the Social Small Talk.
Hey everyone, this is Audra Brim, and I am so excited that you've joined me for this episode of the Social Small Talk. I'm the CEO and founder of Brim Media, and I have dedicated my professional life to helping the beauty industry navigate the digital space. I believe that everyone can succeed if we learn from each other. That's why I'm here bringing ideas and information that can help you navigate the noisy digital marketing space. Hello and welcome to the Social Small Talk. I am overly excited today because I have met a new friend. His name is Kelley Thornton, and he is the CEO and co-founder of Tiege Hanley. And Kelley, can you just tell us a bit about yourself? I'd love to know more. I am such a fan of your products and the brands that I just want to know so much more about you.
Thank you. Well, I started my career in the East Coast selling merchandising. So I spent 20 years of my career in retail and really understanding what drives retail purchases. So understanding channels and understanding customer behavior, consumer behavior in those channels within the retail environments. And I studied that globally. So I have a really strong desire to understand the impact of stimulus, in-store stimulus and creativity on a shopper journey and creating a really unique experience for the shopper, and then what it takes to convert a shopper to try something new at retail. So my background is very similar to what I do today. I just do it in the digital space.
Which is amazing. First of all,
Yeah.
I can't help but say, obviously we talk about converting sales all the time in digital. Some people don't think that it's possible. I'm one of those people that say it has to be possible for this to work. But with your background and how you came up with this brand, right? I would love to know a bit about your mission, why you created Tiege Hanley, and a bit more just about the products even.
Yeah. It is a pretty like Cinderella-ish type of story. So when I started my own in-store design and strategy company in 2009, which was a very tough time to start a business.
Extremely tough. I'm shocked that you did.
Really hard. I started an in-store strategy design company, and most of my customers were in the consumer product goods space, either in OTC pharma, confection, impulse type of thing, and then a ton of consumer products and a lot of, shampoo and deodorants and oral care. Spent a ton of time in that. And those customers were really interested in, starting early 2000s, mid 2000s, they were really interested in understanding male-female segmentation of consumer products.
Yes.
So they were really trying to understand, should we have a male-oriented product and a female-oriented product, or should we have a product that kind of could work for both male and female? And so those customers took me around the globe to understand how guys shop in different countries and what they're interested in. And the ultimate challenge that our customers were asking of me is, how do we drive more retail conversion, and how do we focus on how males think and shop versus how females think and shop, and by channel and then globally. And so when that all was transpiring, I was studying how guys shop around the world, and I was just blown away by how guys in Asia and in South America, but particularly Asia and Southeast Asia, Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Thailand, and how they viewed taking care of their skin. And it's easy to see when you're in those countries. You could go into a small 7-Eleven and see 6 feet by 5 shelves high of men's skincare in a 7-Eleven. And it's just, there's just no cultural relevance for that type of inclination for guys to be interested in taking care of themselves here in the U.S. So I was doing a lot of research in the U.S. We had very slow growth, under 10% growth in skincare, while there was 100% year-over-year growth in Asia. And in Eastern Europe, there was 25 to 30% of year-over-year growth. In South America, 18 to 22% year-over-year growth. And I'm like, I don't understand what's going on in America. So when I started looking into it, I realized it is like really a difficult thing for guys to understand how to take care of their skin. And I was literally going and doing research for my customers in the US at some of the best retail stores. And I was very, very confused. So, and I was embarrassed. And I literally, Audra, I was just really kind of faking it. They're like, what toners do you use? What, what type of moisturizers do you use? And I'm like, I just didn't even know the answers. I was just saying, just give me what's popular. Like, exactly. I use the same thing everybody else uses. So I think the challenge for me was trying to help guys understand in a very simple way what it means to take care of their skin. At the same time, what's going on in today's environment and socially, there is more cultural relevance for a guy to be concerned about his health, to be concerned about taking care of himself, working out on a regular basis, eating right. I mean, of course, there is this concern broadly, right? In today's society, people are much more concerned about what they eat and things of that nature. So there is this trend in guys' world to be really interested in taking care of themselves. And skincare, just like oral care, is something that guys need to understand and just do in a very simple and uncomplicated way. So that's how it all got started.
Love it. So if it was me on the outsider perspective, right, listening to you, education is a big piece of what you bring to the table. And obviously, I'm going to segue into what we know best, which is digital marketing.
Right.
And how that can actually happen. For us, looking in either outsider's perspective, insiders in the beauty industry, digital marketing has changed our industry so much. Whether you're a consumer, whether you're have a cosmetology license, anything in regards, even if you're a distributor, it's just changed the way the world is at this point, especially I would say in men's grooming. Because beforehand, I would even say, like you just said, you'd walk into a department store, you'd ask a couple questions, you'd probably get a generic answer, and here you go, here's a toner. And most guys would probably walk out and never use it again because they have no idea what the point of it is.
Right.
What would you say if you were either a new brand or just anybody in this industry? What are 3 suggestions that you would give a beauty brand about digital marketing if you were even to start now, or even just some suggestions that you've learned over time?
Well, I think you have to start with the basics, which is, what does your brand really represent? And try to define that. What does your brand represent? At Tiege Hanley, our brand is, pretty much reflects the American modern male, which means that we don't particularly focus on the guy that wants to climb Mount Everest or, has to have the corner office on the 100th floor of a building, or an old guy or a young guy. We really, our population of people that are engaged in our community look very much like, the population in the US. We have just as many, Jose's as we do John's, and Abduls as Sam's. And so we really kind of, us as a brand, we really feel like we're a guy's brand. So we do feel a little bit masculine. We're a guy's brand, and we're a brand that a lot of guys can relate to. So I think, when it comes to digital marketing, you can't be all things to all people. So there's going to be people that are going to say, I want more of a unisex brand, or you guys feel too masculine for me. And so anyway, when it comes to the suggestions of like how to approach it, first thing I would say is try to define who your brand is and who your market is. And typically, I think the solution to that can be found in your own searching of who you are, or in our case, who the founders are and what do the founders believe in and feel and think. We're just a brand trying to have a conversation about men's health and contextually say it's okay for guys to want to talk about taking care of their skin. So that's where we are. I'd say number 2 is, getting into a more textbook answer of what suggestions and for beauty brands and digital marketing, is what is your measure of success? Yeah. And what is your measure of success by channel? Because all channels are different. And I would say that's number 3, is understanding how to define what measure of success looks like in your different channels. We are heavily focused on conversion. So we're fairly, aggressive digital marketers, growth marketers. So we really do look at everything we do by, did it work from a conversion standpoint? Now, that's a challenging thing for a brand that's in growth mode, which is where we are, because you can't, and I started talking about brand, you can't short sight brand building and building your brand, and you can't not worry about impressions and getting your name out there organically. So that's the challenge: is how do you balance a measure success heavily driven on conversion, also wanting to try to build your brand. And
I want to reach through right now and like give you a huge hug. And it sounds so weird, but we all, here's the thing, and I'm not trying to talk down. Everyone has gone to a conference and heard very, very poor recommendations on digital marketing. And a lot of it usually comes from a couple things that you just touched on, and one that I preach all the time, which is you have to know your target audience. If you do not know your target audience and you're just trying to go out there and market and advertise to anyone and everyone, how are you going to understand where your success is? Where are you measuring that? How are you tracking your conversions? Because at that point, you're just looking at, okay, well, men in the United States. Well, that's great. What if I wanted to actually go and see Los Angeles, LA? Right. I want to really track into that. I want to make sure I'm showing growth there. And you can actually see a measurable success by showing numbers and conversions. And that is something I feel like people get lost when they're trying to think of their brand and really talking about who they are and who they want their ideal customer to be. Instead, I think we're in the world that goes, well, we're for everyone and anyone. Right. When you actually target to a specific group of people, you will actually be more successful.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
You actually know who your audience is.
Yeah. Staying focused, which is a really hard thing, but staying focused. And so we also do a lot of research on our guys to understand to the best we can who they are. And, and we focus on who we think guys that are most likely to be interested in our products are.
Yeah.
Knowing that we're not going to make everybody happy.
And that's huge, because you're not. It's digital marketing. There are going to be the naysayers. There's the haters out there. We all know what trolls are. It's just going to happen. As you grow a brand, you should be proud of yourself to have trolls, because that means you've actually gotten to a point where people care more about it.
I agree.
It's a good thing. The other thing you touched on, where I want to make sure we touch even further, is each social channel has a different demographic. And I think a lot of brands don't understand that, which is Facebook is different than Instagram. YouTube is different than all of those. So is Twitter. So is Pinterest. You have TikTok and Snapchat. Everything out there has a different demographic for a reason. I tell everyone, and hopefully you'll say yes to this, Kelley, because I'm hopeful, but you shouldn't be posting the same posts and content on every social channel. That defeats the purpose of marketing. If you are, then you should have just had one and been like, all right, I'm good.
100%. So that's really easily analogous to understanding bricks and mortar.
Mm-hmm.
The convenient channel is different from the drug channel, is different from the mass channel, is different from grocery, is different from hyper. When you as a consumer, you have a specific mission to go to a store. You just want to buy milk, or you're buying the newest cosmetics. You're not going to Costco to find the newest line of cosmetics. That doesn't make sense. So you as a consumer are in a different need state. And so when you're online in different channels, you as a consumer are looking at you should be looking at different types of content in different channels, just as you would in the bricks and mortar channels.
Exactly. And I guarantee you're going to say the same thing. It just looks lazy on a brand when you start posting the same content everywhere, because all of a sudden it just looks like you don't care, and you're not putting the effort into knowing who your customer is. And then that loops back to, who is your target audience? Who is the actual consumer looking for your product? And if you don't know that, then how can you market to them?
Yeah, the fallacy there is that you do need to be consistent of how your brand looks and feels across multiple platforms. So the lazy way out of it is just to repurpose the same content and say, I'm trying to drive consistency in my brand. And truthfully, we shouldn't be so hard on brands, especially startups, because it's really hard. This isn't what we're talking about doing isn't easy. We're very fortunate because we have a very strong in-house design agency that allows us to be extremely agile and flexible, and they're intimate with our brand and they're intimate with what we're doing on our brand, on our channels. So yeah, it's hard, but being focused, staying true to your brand, and understanding that each channel is different, those are very important. And then of course measuring it.
Yeah. And going back to being hard on startups, I agree with you. Where I come from is do one thing great. Like pick one channel that you either know you can market really well or sell really well, or get the measurement out of it. If it's brand awareness, if it's sales, if it's engagement, whatever you're looking for, do one channel really well. When you feel like you've done that so well that you can then add another, that's when you add another. Don't just go into it going, I need to be on everything because everybody else is on it. It's start slow.
Completely agree.
It's Audra Brent here, taking a quick break. Thanks again for listening. I just wanted to let you know about the offer Brim Media has put together called the 6-Month Strategy to Grow Your Business. This is your chance to have a tailor-made 6-month strategy to grow your business online. Think of us as your digital partner. We work with you to create a cost-effective success plan for your social media and digital marketing efforts. To learn more, go to www.brimmedia.com/6-month-custom-plan. I can't wait to hear from you, and we look forward to working together.
We had talked about the fail fast mentality. I would love to know a bit more, especially when you're looking at measurements on social media, on digital marketing, and making sure that people understand how to fail fast instead of going, well, I think this is working. We'll just keep it going. And then all of a sudden, 2 months later, you look back and go, this did nothing for us. Why didn't we catch it beforehand?
Yeah. So let me give you some examples and some analogies. So we talk a lot in our digital marketing team about performance over perfection. And what we mean by that is that we can spend a lot of time trying to get a campaign really tweaked before we get it out into the market, or we can put it out in the market and we continually tweak it. And then it may end up being completely ineffective. And we can gobble up tons and tons of design hours and hours of our social media team preparing stuff and finding out that even though, by the way, we think it could be a great idea, it could be extremely polished, really well thought, and it just may not perform at all. So when we fail fast, kind of performance over perfection mentality is let's get some things out there and see how they do and how it resonates with our audience. And then we can fine tune it and make it better and make it a better customer experience after that. I'll give you, a real life example on the product side of our business. We've been working on launching a lip balm, and it's taken us over 14 months to launch the lip balm. A lot of it was driven by our real desire for perfection of getting the product right. But we had some issues with ingredients, and we had issues with getting FDA approval, and we had to go back 5 times to get our FDA approval because we weren't satisfying the broadband spectrum. The challenge with that is you could spend 14 months on something and get the product out in the market, and nobody likes it. So the idea of fail fast is try your best, to get things to a certain point where you can get them to market as quickly as possible and see if they work. And if it doesn't, you need to be honest with yourself and quit. I'm thinking of a conversation that my partner, Aaron Marino, had this past week with Kevin O'Leary, who's from Shark Tank, and myself and Aaron and Kevin I was on the phone, but Kevin was saying, if something is not working, you've got to have the guts to, and these are his words, not mine, but to take it around the back of the barn and shoot it, because it's just, you have to be honest with yourself, and you just have to know when to give up on an idea. So, and that mentality, I think, goes from little ideas to big ideas.
It's so true. Clearly, I have a digital marketing agency, and what we preach is very similar, which is we could try for perfection all the time. I am a perfectionist, which is probably why I'm not writing content anymore, because it took me way too long, because I would literally look at it, try to overanalyze it 15 other times, and then it was never going out. What happens is that you need to be able to look at a metric to see, is this working or is it not working? And just like you said, Kelley, which is you need to know if it's not working and kill it. Like it just needs to be done at that point. But you have to look at the top overall. And I tell our team, depending on how many ads we're running and things in that regard for organic content, but you got to look at your top 3 greatest campaigns that are going and mimic that, to be able to look at making sure that you're constantly changing and evolving what the digital age is doing, but also being able to see a metric that's working too.
Yeah.
Because it changes. I mean,
absolutely.
The best thing I always tell everyone too is by the time I'm off of a phone call in a day, I guarantee some API has changed. Facebook's either done something crazy to me, a metric's changed, something went down, and you have to learn. And that's why there's people like us that are constantly trying to learn and evolve in this world, in the digital age, to be able to teach others to make sure that they're understanding what they should be looking for, what fails, what doesn't fail. It's not easy. It's not a black and white answer, but this goes into, we've all made mistakes, right? We've all made the mistakes on social media. We've made mistakes in lives, whether it's business. I mean, the roller coaster of owning your own business is real. It's very true. I wish other people would talk more about that. But social media is just as much of a roller coaster. I'd love to know just a couple of mistakes, or even one that you can remember doing on social media that you wish you never did before.
Yeah. I can't think of anything that's juicy enough to help your listeners. I would say that it's right in line with what we were just describing, which is spending a lot of time preparing something, putting your heart and soul into it, and think that it's really, really good, and it just not be good at all. We've had several cases here, and usually we're also spending a lot of money on those. Mm-hmm. So we created a content piece about 3 years ago that we thought was going to be like our defining moment, our hypothetical flag in the sand, and it was just we couldn't get, nobody even looked at it. So I think it's just goes back to what we were just describing. But the mistakes that I've made has been putting too much time and effort and money in things that consumers, or our customers really just don't care about.
It's hard because as marketers and as people, especially when we're tied to our brands, we think we know what the consumer is going to want, right? But I mean, ultimately, that's what marketing is we put ourselves in their shoes or behind the computer and think about how they interact, what they're purchasing, what their purchase history is, and all of that. And when you fall in love with this idea or this campaign, it is very, very difficult to go, I was wrong, or this didn't work. What metric would you look at to see if you were doing it? Obviously, that depends on what your goal is, but let's say your goal was brand awareness. What would you be looking at?
Well, I just want to make sure that I'm not being misunderstood in this really valuable line of questions that you've got, Audra. We need to be careful too, because we need to, as marketers, digital marketers, we need to understand that we do need to give things enough time to see if they work. And little things could make a really big difference in a campaign. So, if we're out there with a campaign and we really believe it with our heart and soul, we need to give it enough time, and we can change little things that really may, depending on what your measure is, may actually improve the performance of the campaign. So I don't want to be misleading to everybody and say, if it just doesn't work, just, knee jerk, kill it. I mean, you do need to be patient to let things play through. So it's that juxtaposition of, knowing when to say when and making sure you do put your effort into it if you really believe it. What metrics? I mean, we look at, so we're a subscription business. So our metrics are very much around understanding how many individual customers, active customers we have at any given time, and then how many customers are staying with us. So we look at churn rates. Where it gets really interesting from a digital marketing perspective, someone like yourself, is that we want to understand cohorts. We want to really drill into different cohorts of these guys. We want to understand where guys are coming from and what their journey looks like and their attribution looks like, and what the set of behaviors look like that led them to the path of eventually purchasing to us. And then after they've made a purchase, we really want to understand the behaviors that led them for us to have a successful relationship with our customers. So those are the things really, and it really goes down a long path talking about data analytics and things of that nature. So, but on very simplified way, it's about understanding who our best customers are and why customers stay with us, and doing more of those things and trying to get more of those customers.
Love that. We utilize different tools. I'm sure you utilize different tools. Do you tend to go away from not just using Facebook Business Manager and Ads Manager and all of those analytics? Do you have your own analytics?
Yeah, we've been working on 1.5 years on a data analytics platform. And, it's a really heavy lift of companies to put something in place that really can help them drive their business. We started out probably in the same way that most companies do. We try to get as much off the shelf information and plug and play platforms. And we've got some good ones, but the further you go down the path of understanding your consumer, the more you realize you really don't understand them. And so we've gone into, a much deeper dive into getting analytics integrated in everything we do. And we've been at it for about 1.5 years. And we're just almost at the point of being able to have a good enough platform that we can drive our business decisions every day with it.
That's a huge success, because there's a lot of companies out there that want that. That's like their future, to be able to have a dashboard, an analytic portion of it that shows not just from the website portion, but social media, all different digital versions. I mean, advertising is so much, and so is marketing on different levels. So to be able to put that there, would you say that's your biggest success, or what is your biggest success?
I think I wouldn't say it's our biggest success. I would say that is one of my biggest priorities. I think our biggest success is, just cultivating a great customer community and having guys that are really engaged in our brands, and guys that are actually engaged in skincare and are using skincare, understand the value and the importance of it. I think going back to our original conversation, there's really very little context for guys using skincare in today's society. Women have known it for a long time. And so the benefits of using good skincare over time. And so I think the biggest success is just having hundreds of thousands of customers that are willing to engage in taking care of their skin. So that's for sure the biggest success.
Yeah. I'm a person that loves education and being able to reach as many people as possible to just teach them, not only just to be like better at life, but so many other things. And listening to that, I just think about every man in my life, like even my husband. Skincare is crucial. You hear so many people about skin cancer and everything else, and men tend to not take care of themselves the way technically women do, right? I mean,
right.
Women are known to have a strict regimen depending on where you are, morning and night, and
right.
Most men don't. So I love hearing that that's really part of your values, your mission. Yeah. I have to say that I've watched so many of the YouTube videos that Aaron's done that I laugh at, going back to what we said before with failing fast. I listened especially to the I Quit one.
Yeah.
Anyone just out there that's listening, you should go on the YouTube channel because the I Quit is so true. It's just knowing when to quit, but also having a passion and living your life for that and driving your brand, right? Like we start brands, we start businesses for a reason and not to veer off. It's hard not to, but to always try to remember that. Would you, in the amount that you guys have been in business and the years and stuff like that, I'm sure there's been roadblocks. I'm sure there's been forks in the roads. How do you make sure that you stay to your core values?
Being resilient. We're lucky because this introduction that I gave you that skincare was really complicated for guys has been something that, and our tagline is uncomplicated skincare for men. And we also have very fortunate to have the trademark on the name, on the word uncomplicated. So we actually use the concept of uncomplicated to measure everything that we're doing at Tiege. So we always say, is that an uncomplicated approach? And I think that's one metric that we use over and over again in every meeting, almost everything we do to keep us like on our path. Are we making things uncomplicated for guys? Is an uncomplicated solution? And if the answer is no, we probably shouldn't be doing it as a company.
You just inspired me. I live my life by words. I always come into New Year's with a word that I want to end my year and look back and measure my success with. And now I have to come up with a word for business. So thank you, Kelley, because now I want an uncomplicated thing. Many people out there, whether they're consumers, whether they're brands, they want to know how they can buy products from you, where they can even see your products. I'd love to know more about, do you use distribution? Are you just strictly an e-commerce site? Tell us a bit more about how that is laid out.
Yeah, well, 97% of our sales, 98% of our sales are on Tiege.com. So the only other place that we offer our product as a legitimate channel is through Amazon. And we're on Amazon primarily because we feel that it's important to be able to be found in the world other than Tiege.com. So we've been on Amazon for several years. And we do have customers. One thing about Amazon for us is that there are people out there that don't want to be part of a subscription economy. Even our subscription economy, you could basically toggle on and off your subscription at any time. And there's no commitment. And there's a lot of benefits like free shipping and lots of stuff that we throw in boxes that we want guys to try, and discounts and all that stuff and content that we create. And so people want to be members of Tiege, Hanley, Tiege.com, but there's other people that just want to buy a box of our product, and they can do so at Amazon. So those are our two outlets.
And that's the world, honestly, that we live in. I know so many brands are worried about going on Amazon. We're in 2020. It's where consumers shop. It's not changing, at least for the foreseeable future, at least right now, right? So I know that the world we lived in 10 years ago was very scared about being part of Amazon or something like that for a lot of different reasons, especially in the professional realm. But that is where consumers are. And the fact that you're there, it's not a scary word anymore. I feel like sometimes everyone in the beauty industry is like, we're on Amazon.
Yeah.
But everyone is. It's not a secret anymore.
Well, Audra, it is just another channel. And we've talked about this before. It's a different approach to Amazon. And for us, there's how we're marketing on Amazon and what our strategy is on Amazon is very different. It's a very different strategy than our Instagram strategy, our Facebook strategy. So it is another channel for us. It happens to be, we consider retail. It's the only place that we're in retail, although it's not bricks and mortar, it's Amazon. So it's, we're there. Yep.
Well, I loved this conversation, Kelley. I really appreciate your insights and just learning more about you and Tiege. I'd love for everyone else to be able to get a hold of you or even just Tiege in general. Do you mind just giving everyone, whether it's your the website, Facebook, Instagram handles. Can you just let us know how we could get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, Tiege is very active on Facebook. We're very active on LinkedIn and on Twitter. I'm mostly on LinkedIn, so I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. I don't post a lot on Instagram, but I do post more on LinkedIn. But I'm at Kelley.Thornton on Instagram, THORNTON.
Perfect. Well, Kelley, thank you so much. I can't wait to see what you guys are coming up with in the next year. I'm going to look for that lip balm soon enough to get my husband.
Great. It's worth the wait. It's a really fantastic product.
Perfect. Well, you heard that. Everyone's going to be on the lookout for that lip balm now. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Audra. Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks so much for listening to The Social Small Talk. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please visit our website at brimmedia.com for more show notes and additional episodes. If you have time, please subscribe to the podcast and consider rating and reviewing the show. It always helps other people find us. By the way, I love hearing from listeners. So send me an email at audra@brimmedia.com with your feedback. And if you send me a question, maybe I'll read it on the show. Don't worry, it'll be anonymous.